Step 4 is to pick plant protein sources. So when we compare, plant protein sources versus meat, some things come up. So first of all, legumes are the highest fiber food. Meat has no fiber. Legumes are high in phytochemicals. Meat has zero. Legumes are high in antioxidants. Meat has minimal antioxidants. Legumes are very low in fat generally, and very low in saturated fat. Meat's high in fat and high in saturated fat. Legumes, of course, are cholesterol-free. Meat is fairly high in cholesterol. Legumes contain a type of iron called non-heme iron, which is absorbed much more slowly into the system and it isn't a pro-oxidant, whereas meat has heme iron, which is absorbed very rapidly, even if we don't need it, and when we get excessive amounts, can act as a pro-oxidant. Legumes don't contain hormones or antibiotics. Meat can. Legumes are free of new 5-GC. Of course, meat contains it. You can't produce TMAO by eating legumes. You certainly can by eating meat. Legumes are generally fairly low in chemical contaminants. Meat is high. Legumes don't contain any endotoxins. Meat contains tons. This is the stuff that comes from the dead bacteria in meat, and when it breaks down, you end up with these endotoxins. And then legumes, if you look at legumes and mortality, we saw in the blue zones, that was the one food they all consumed. But there was a study done that actually looked at food intake patterns of people 70 years of age or more from a variety of cultures. The only statistically significant food indicator of longevity was legumes, or legume intake. For every 20 grams or 2/3 of an ounce, what is that? Maybe a tablespoon and a half, a very small amount of legumes, there was a 7 to 8% reduction in mortality. This is really quite shocking. Imagine if people ate a whole cup. They would live forever. And it's just, it's really, this for me was a very powerful study. Now, if you look at the studies on red meat and mortality, well, they're just absolutely consistent. This is the most recent 5 meta-analyses. Total red meat is the sort of dark line, the unprocessed, the bright red, and processed, the pink. And you can see that consumption of both red meat and processed meat is associated with increased mortality in every single one of these studies. It's consistent.